It's Nicki from Sewalicious, as you can see from our very homemade sign here. Today I'm going to be going through with you how to do our ivy wraparound skirt. This is a free download on our website, sewalicious.co.uk. I'm going to be using this gorgeous cotton fabric, and I've made a few of these skirts for myself already, so I'm actually going to be making one for Amy, who's my business partner at Sewalicious. So let's get started. So we're going to cut 2 lengths of fabric, each measuring our waist size, ensuring it's cut parallel to the selvage. So with right sides together, so you are working on the wrong side of the fabric, pin, tack if you would like, and machine stitch the 2 skirt pieces together using the standard seam allowance, which is 1.5 centimetres. And then this creates the centre back seam. So I've now ironed my seam, and I'm now going to neaten the seam using my overlocker. And here is the finished seam. So right sides down, mark 1/3 of your waist measurement to the left of the centre back. Then using a fabric pen or tailor's chalk, draw a straight line down from the top to the bottom. Then cut the fabric to create 2 pieces again. So we're now going to machine stitch the pieces back together to create a left side seam, but we need to leave a hole that will create the skirt's tie opening. So to do this, we need to mark 3 centimetres down from the skirt's top, leaving an opening of 3 centimetres, and must remember to back stitch at each end. Then continue to stitch to the bottom. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine now and stitch it. And then I'm going to neaten the seams by using my overlocker. And here's what your skirt tie opening will look like. So now we're going to neaten the edge of the skirt each end. I'm going to overlock mine, and then we're going to turn the edge to the wrong side together by 1.5 centimetres and press with an iron. So to create the skirt facings, we need to turn in each end again, this time by 5 centimetres, and press with an iron. This will keep them in place. The facings can be adjusted if more or less wrap coverage is needed by reducing or increasing the amount of fabric that you turn in. So 2 darts are required to fit and shape the skirt neatly at the back. To mark where they go, we need to measure 1/7 of your waist size from each side of the centre back and mark with a fabric pen. So on each side of the centre back, draw a straight line down 15 centimetres from the top mark you have just drawn. This creates the centre fold of each dart. On either side of the top centre fold of your 2 darts, measure 1.5 centimetres out and make another mark. You should now have 3 markings on each side of the centre back seam. Now you need to draw a line on each side of each dart, joining the outer top marks to the centre fold bottom mark. You will now have a wedge shape drawing on each side of the centre back. These mark your darts. For each dart in turn, fold the fabric along the centre fold line of the dart, placing right sides together and ensuring the diagonal dart lines fit together. Place pins along the diagonal line for each dart. Tack along the 2 dart line pin lines and then remove pins. And now go to your sewing machine and machine stitch along 2 tack lines, ensuring that you stitch off the edge of the fabric at the bottom of the dart. And here are our 2 darts. So we're on to the skirt waistband now. To create a piece of fabric 10 centimetres wide by 4 times the amount of your waist measurements. To make full use of your fabric, avoid waste, you can sew shorter leftover fabric pieces together. This is what I'm doing here with my 3 pieces. This creates the waistband and what will become the tie. So we now need to fold the fabric in half, wrong sides together, and press with an iron to create a centre fold line. Unfold the waistband, mark the centre with a pin and line the pin up to the centre back of the skirt. Right sides together, line the raw edge of the band to the top of the raw edge of the skirt. Now we're going to pin and machine stitch the waistband to the skirt using a 1.5cm seam allowance, ensuring that the facings are still turned in. You'll notice there is a length of fabric running beyond the skirt ends on each side. These will form the skirt wraparound tie. Along the full length of the tie, fold both edges over by 1.5cm and press with an iron. Fold the waistband over the top of the skirt using the centre fold line that you have pressed and ensuring that the waistband covers the stitching on the wrong side of the skirt. Now you can pin and tack if you'd like. So now we're going to do the skirt tie. We're going to fold the tie ends in half, right side together. Machine stitch across each tie and the full length of the tie with a 1.5cm seam allowance until you are within about 2 centimetres from the skirt. This gap is needed to pull the tie through on itself to its right side. It almost feels like you're doing something wrong at this point, but you're not. This is the correct way. So we're now going to clip the corners of the tie end and trim the seam allowance. Now we're going to take the tie end and push the stitched end in on itself. Using a knitting needle here, or if you have any other long thin implement, continue to push it through to the right side, pulling it through the gap you have left where the waistband meets the skirt. Now using your finger and thumb, roll the seam so it's on the edge of the band and press flatly, ideally with an iron. Repeat on the other tie end. So now we're going to slip stitch from the opening that you've just pulled the tie through along the waistband and across the other tie opening. So you need to measure yourself and note the length that you'd like the skirt to be and turn the fabric up to that length in order to create the hemline. Your hem width can be anything between 1.5 and 3 centimetres. Now open your facings back out and you can either zigzag or use your overlocker on the bottom raw edges to avoid the fabric fraying. Now turn up the excess fabric from the skirt bottom to the length you desire and then go ahead and pin and machine stitch. Turn facings back in and you can slip stitch facing hem to your skirt. And there you have your finished skirt. And here is the lovely Amy wearing her ivy wraparound skirt.